Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddly Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we are mostly sober. Wait, shit, we recorded that episode out of order, so that doesn't even make sense contextually.
That doesn't make sense at
Yeah,
all.
it's fine. We're still actually just now sobering up from the all singing, all dancing episode that we did recently, but that was weeks ago at this point. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. We've got a great episode today. We're talking about Das Bus, and we've got a great we got a great guest coming back to join us on the show today. But first, joining me as always, your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I am in a very good mood today. I know Miles knows this and our guest knows this, but I just adopted a dog today, so I want to both be happy to be doing a podcast, but happy to go back to...
He's going to be very distracted on this one. If occasionally he might make like kissing noises.
She's literally laid down right behind my chair, so if I move, I'm going to hurt her tail, and I'm terrified.
Aww.
But that's all right. I'm going to stay completely still, which is difficult for me to do. If you've ever listened to our show, I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to you. The man, the myth, the slime licker. He is Miles.
Ah, you savages. And joining us as well today for the 9th time, is that right? Oh my God. No way.
Wow.
I mean, but the streak is alive. You haven't missed one, so that would make sense. But keeping the streak alive, joining us once again, our good friend, Dr. Andrew Briseño. Welcome back to Best Darn Diddly, Andy. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me once again. You know, I'm really starting to question my life choices, as, you know, I've been a guest on this podcast 9 times. But, you know, other than that, things are going amazing. You know, we're out here living life in Natchitoches, Louisiana, and things could be worse.
Could be worse than Natchitoches.
Yeah.
That's something. That's a sentence that's never actually
that should be the slogan.
Yeah.
True. They need to put that on the sign. Natchitoches. It could be worse.
And then when you leave, it says it might be worse.
You're basically in Schitt's Creek.
No comment.
Oh, well, welcome back, man. So what is going on other than just, you know, not being the worst? What's going on new in your world? How are things going? You're the author of Down and Out. I mean, is the fame kicked in yet?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. You know, I every day another 0 people buy my book. No, but yeah, I did write this wonderful book, Down and Out, available through Gold Wake Press. And you can get it right now.
Look for season 1 to come out on Netflix soon, and I'll have a part in season 2, I'm told.
Yeah, sounds accurate. For those of you who don't know, our dear beloved host Miles Francis is actually a character in this book, and in fact, he was good enough to give me a blurb for the back that says, and I quote, "Down and Out is the problem with American literature today. This book ruined my life." And the person who designed the cover, when I sent them that, they're like, "Oh, that's perfect. We're going to put that in giant fucking letters at the top." And that's exactly what they did. And if you'd like to know why on God's earth I would ever want someone to say that on the back of my own book, well, I guess you'll have to buy it to find out. I just made the face that was like, please buy something.
Yeah.
But yeah, please, you can find it wherever books are sold, Amazon, Walmart.com, or you can go to the publisher goldwake.com, which is definitely the best way to get books. Support independent publishers when you can. And I'd also like to let all those listeners out in podcast land know about LitCon. And LitCon is a production of the Northwestern State University Department of English, Foreign Languages, and Cultural Studies, and specifically our creative writing team. What LitCon is kind of like a cross between a Comic-Con and an academic festival. So,
how did you make Comic-Con more nerdy? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, well, I
did
mean,
it.
like,
congratulations.
Yeah, that's what we did. Is we're like, you know, what if we added poetry and art and like a few people gave papers on books they loved? That sounds great. But it's honestly a lot of fun. It's a really great Attitude for anyone in the region. It's free to attend, and we'd love to have you. So consider coming out. That is April 17th and 18th here in beautiful Natchitoches, Louisiana on the Northwestern State University campus. So, yeah, thanks in advance.
Go to Natchitoches, it won't be the worst. Please come and see me,
and I will give you a high five and sign your copy of sign your Down and Out t-shirt for you.
Oh, dope. That's a deal right there. Free entry and a free high five and autograph.
Yeah, for sure.
Love it.
You know,
I legitimately hope we have listeners in your area. I have no idea if we have dots there or not. I know you don't listen, so if we do, it's not you. I still want you to assign this to your class for what it's worth. I feel like there's literary value to listening to this podcast.
Just not the singing, dancing one.
Yeah, maybe skip that one.
I mean, well, if we ever get there, we're definitely going to start with maximum singing and dancing. That goes without saying.
I usually, either Richie writes them, or if I write them, I put some effort into the, description that I'm sure nobody reads of each podcast, and that description literally just said, Richie and I get very drunk, we sing Simpsons songs. It's either the best or the worst podcast we've ever recorded. Enjoy.
I'm going to go look that shit up.
It drops on
when you
Sunday.
See a dot on that one, it is me.
There you go. Very cool. Well, we've got a good episode to talk about today. We're talking about Das Bus, and it's got a lot of literary relevance, we would say, which is, I think, probably why you chose to come on for this episode. But is there anything other than the connections to the Children of the Floors? Yeah, I was going to say, Children of the Flies.
Children of the Floors?
Children of the Floors, yeah. Lord of the Flies. Is there anything other than the ties to Lord of the Flies that connected you to this episode, made you want to come talk about it?
Well, truthfully, the title, I always liked it. I didn't know what it meant when I was a kid, but I always thought that it was dope. And then, I figured being a book doctor, I should probably show up when there's a book reference to be discussed, bring some class around here.
That seems totally relevant. And we get some Ralph here, and I know, one of my favorite segments that we've had you do in the past, I think it was for our 100th episode, you did the philosophy of Ralph Wiggum, and I feel like we might be able to have a discussion about that a little later in the episode.
Oh, Ralph is a genius. It's true.
You did mention the title is a reference to something. It's actually a reference to the 1981 German film Das Boot, which I also did not know until reading that on this IMDb page.
What about that one movie that they talk about it in, Beer Fest?
I think that's a different boot.
Oh, but they say Das Boot in that a lot.
Oh, that is very accurate.
I was tying the smart with the stupid.
Totally fair, yeah. But we do kick this episode off, or first I'll say this episode aired on February 15th, 1998, which is why the internet storyline makes as much sense as it does. There is no chalkboard gag on this one, but there's a very interesting couch gag. The Simpsons run into the living room, but I guess I should say they hop into the living room because they're all frogs, except for Maggie, who's a tadpole, and their couch is sitting on a lily pad. This was actually a suggestion that was brought to the Simpsons staff by Dan Castellaneta's niece, which I just think is kind of cool.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure as, a kid, getting your, idea on one of the most popular shows of all time is reward in itself, despite the fact that I'm sure she got absolutely no royalties.
Sue!
We open up with a Troy McClure film. It's actually Troy playing Noah, and he's doing an epic job. He's having a conversation with the Lord, which I think is really funny because as much as he's Noah, he's also still very much Troy McClure, because God's like, Noah, they shall build thyself an ark, measuring 300 cubits in length.
300 cubits, give or take.
Exactly 300. And thou shalt taketh 2 of every creature.
2 creatures?
2 of every creature.
Even stink beetles?
Especially stink beetles.
Man, God is so in your face.
He's my favorite fictional character.
That was me, like, just winning. Oh, man.
That one hits.
Simpsons at their finest. Like, that
one
line.
hits great.
It's what we're here for, if you want to be honest.
So we still have more Phil Hartman, though, that this episode also proves, because we thought his last episode might have been a few back. So he did Troy McClure in this one, so he's still going.
Well, no, the few episodes ago is his last appearance as Lionel Hutz. So he's going to continue to be Troy McClure all the way until an early episode in season 10.
Ah, okay. Awesome. I was just happy to hear his voice.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, his last episode is, I want to say, like, either the second or possibly the third episode of season 10. I'd have to go back and look, but, yeah, we are approaching it, rapidly. But, yeah, Marge is, like, urging the kids off to bed, but the kids actually have a nice ploy to be able to stay up late.
But the flood's only knee-high. At least let us watch till the midgets drown.
Yeah, Mom, come on. You gotta stay up to watch Troy McClure and such other Bible epics as David vs. Super Goliath and Suddenly Last Supper.
Go, Lise. Way to cite precedent.
I like that they
I
treat
really
it like
want to see
courtroom.
a pitch meeting for Suddenly Last Supper. Just saying.
They should do a pitch meeting for Suddenly Last Supper. I've talked about it on this podcast before, but I just told Andy about the YouTube series Pitch Meeting right before we started recording, and I'm just a big fan of Ryan George's comedy, so go and check that out on YouTube and tell him I sent you. He won't know who I am, and he's way too big to see your message, but it'll make me feel good.
Miles will see it.
Mm-hmm.
He reads all the comments on other people's
I'm
videos.
way into the comic section on those pitch meeting videos. All right. Marge agrees, actually, to let them stay up late, but only on the condition that tomorrow everyone's going to sleep at 5 o'clock. Woohoo!
Hooray!
I love how excited Homer gets about this. But the time ticks on and on and on and on until finally the movie ends and Kent Brockman interrupts. You've seen the movie, now meet a real-life Noah. Only this Noah has been accused of killing 2 of every animal. Coming up next on AM Springfield.
How long would that take? That's a lot of dedication, is all I'm saying.
To kill 2 of every animal?
2 of everything?
I think it'd be easier to kill 2 of every animal than it would be to board them on a boat.
I mean, but they at least come to the boat, presumably, right? Like, they're not trying to get killed. Like, you gotta go around and find each type of grasshopper and step on 2 of them. That sounds like bullshit.
I guess if we were living in the magical world where, like, a space god would command a dude to board a boat, I'll go with you on the fact that all of the animals would be like, oh, safety, let's march that way.
But I want to know the key to salvation.
I
don't know.
Spirit man.
Two by two they walked. All right, whatever.
I'm singing the Book of Mormon song in my head now. 2
Nice.
by 2, we march to history.
I do like that movie, musical. Yeah. So the next morning, basically, it's like immediately after that comes on, Marge is like, "Oh my God, we have to get you kids to school." But we see that Homer has a different plan. Sorry, can't make it in today, Mr. Smithers. I have smallpox. Well, it isn't wiped out in my house. I like that, like, immediately, though, with absolutely no sleep whatsoever, the kids are, like, perky as fuck in this next sequence. Like, they are not showing any signs of being tired even a little bit.
To be fair, every time I get to dress up as a Libyan, general, I just get a ton of pep as well.
Sure, and everyone knows that the best coat comes from France, so Lisa's set.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what they're known for there, right?
Cheese, I think.
Oh, I always get those things confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of UN meeting were you guys going to?
Yeah. They're at a model UN club meeting, and Lisa is France, Bart is Libya. Let's see, we've got Nelson is Japan, Martin is Finland, I think.
Yes.
There's a dance. I will say something that's kind of interesting from the trivia is it's super appropriate that Lisa is the delegate for France because Yardley Smith was actually born there.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. I did not know that.
I thought it was convenient that Milhouse was Poland.
Oh, nice. I like the
What's
joke
the
they make
best
about
part?
Poland jokes, or Polish jokes or whatever. I thought that was really funny. It's like a joke about jokes.
They sent a rocket to the sun once.
At night.
There's that submarine with the screen doors.
My favorite has to be Sherry and Terry dressed up as Trinidad and Tobago. It's just so good.
See, I don't understand geography enough to get that joke. I'm not even gonna lie, but I do think their outfits at the end when they're all tribal is pretty dope.
Trinidad and Tobago is one country, and that's just the name of it, is Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks for explaining that one to me. Those are the best, the jokes that have to be explained.
It is what you say.
No, I'm just dumb, but that is a really funny joke. I'm really bad at geography to the point that one time I was playing a game where it's called Codemasters or something like that, and basically the idea is you have to say words to your partner to get them to guess the correct words that are out on the board and whatnot. And I described something that was geographically incorrect, but my partner was also super bad at geography, so we ended up winning because they got we both thought these countries were in Europe or something like that. It's pretty epic, yeah. It was a good night. You just have to be in sync. You don't have to know shit.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. So I also really there's a bit here where Skinner's talking to Bart, who is, again, representing Libya. So when he answers Skinner, he's like, "Yes, sir, you American pig."
Nice touch.
Let's
Bart
see.
stands up, gives the best fake speech I've heard in a while. And as an educator, I got to say I hear these semi-regularly.
Daily? Yeah.
Not daily, because I don't do oral reports daily. But, I mean, if there are oral reports, someone's going to get up and mail it in. It's a guarantee. All
right, so tell us the telltale pitfalls of a winging it oral report that you'd basically give yourself away. As an educator off the record right now, let's give some insight to any of your students who happen to be listening. How can they just skate by on an oral report?
So the thing to do is to start your lie at the beginning and then follow through. Say, I'm going to talk about 3 things, and then let 3 things come out of your mouth and then discuss those 3 things. Where Bart screws up is that he runs out of shit to talk about corn and then pivots to talking about Indian shit. And that's where you're like, gotcha. Right? So again, if he was the 3 things that we need to discuss are corn, Native American figures in history, and why Seymour Skinner stinks, it would have somehow come together as a cohesive moment, I think.
Interesting.
It was he was prepared more. Yeah, I gotcha.
I do like that he gets the Indians confused, though. That's pretty funny in general. It's a very Bart thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta roll with it. It's lovely.
Let's see. Nelson is bullying, who is it? Lewis?
Yeah.
But Skinner
Wendell.
The script actually says Wendell's nose, and then it says that Lewis says "ow," which is funny since they get confused later in the episode.
That is interesting. That says both names, yeah. But yeah, Wendell is like, "Ow, I can't breathe. Please stop him."
I'd like to, but I'm afraid he has diplomatic immunity.
Point of order. If we want to learn anything, we must respect.
Point of odor. Lisa stinks.
Oh man. So yeah, basically we see that the kids are at least they're going on a field trip, right? That's the idea. They're going on the UN club trip. They're boarding up on the bus. The parents
Hold up. Before that, one of my favorite lines, if not my favorite line, is when they're all fighting before they leave. And Skinner bangs the shoe on the table and goes, "Order, order. Do you kids want to be like the real UN? Or do you just want to squabble and waste time?"
Yes, that is such a good
Which
joke,
is so
right?
perfect. And also is a reference to a famous historical incident when Nikita Khrushchev took his shoe off and banged it on the thing at the UN because people weren't paying attention to him sufficiently at the time.
Wow.
Who throws a shoe, honestly? That's cool, though. No, that's good. That's good stuff, man. Real good stuff. But yeah, so you're right. Those are both great points to talk about. But that leads us to the UN going on their field trip. They're getting on the bus. Who is it? Skinner is like quietly to Otto, like, remember, we're trusting you with our greatest natural resource, this school bus.
School bus.
As the kids, it is really weird that the kids are just going with Otto and they don't have any like chaperone whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, because they would have been responsible and kept the order on the island.
Speaking of being responsible, it's Ralphie his dad, Chief Wiggum, is telling Ralphie if his nose bleeds, he's either picking too hard or not hard enough.
I love the way that's animated, where there's like this brief pause where he's like thinking about picking your nose too hard and then adds or not hard enough. It's perfect.
It is really good. So the kids are loaded up, and this is actually where we cut to our B plot for the first time. Homer is at his mailbox checking letters, where most of them are third notices for things like jury duty and the mortgage. He gets really excited when he picks one up, and he's like, ooh, second notice, and he just drops it down the drain.
Yeah.
But then he gets a letter addressed to somebody else. It's for Flancrest Enterprises, which he doesn't recognize until Ned comes walking over.
Oops, that's for me. Flancrest Enterprises is my home business.
You liar! You don't have a home business. Why would you make up a lie like that?
Oh, it's true. Maud and I sell religious book rugs over the internet.
Internet.
Religious book rugs?
Yes, indeedly. Making some good scratch, too.
Scratch, eh?
Yep.
Mod, eh?
Homer.
See, I think this is a joke, and I don't know if it's intentionally written this way still to this day, but I definitely thought that was just funny as in, like, Homer is dumb, but it also kind of feeds into the, like, past where Homer has definitely had a thing for Maude in more than one occasion. Especially when he's drunk.
Damn it, Homer.
Boils over when he's had enough of her and bends over at the appropriate time.
Taking her
and
out.
that sounded dirty, but I meant when she gets killed.
Was it International Women's Day? For those of you that get that joke, I'm so proud to be a fandom, or in the fandom of so many crossover things with you.
Way to sell it.
Yeah, sure. So, Andy, you were alive in 1998.
That is true.
What a time to be alive.
Uh-huh. I was mostly 15.
Mostly 15, yeah. Mostly 13 here, and I think Richie would be the same for the most part.
This is a week before my birthday when this aired, so yep.
Yeah, so this is really funny in general, just to, like, in 2020, to watch an episode about a character who just doesn't really have a concept of even what the internet is, and is deciding to set up his own internet company, which legitimately, like, earlier today, I saw a photo online that was spreading around of, like, Jeff Bezos sitting at, like, an IKEA desk with, like, a spray painted on a sheet sign that said Amazon or something like that. Just, like, real weird time are these types of companies that we now know, like, to own the world, or, like, essentially, like, getting their feet, you know, or claws, more appropriately into this whole system. I'm apparently the only one that has thoughts on the internet.
That just was a very long thought there that I was trying to keep up with.
All right, that's fair. Again, it's later in the night than I normally... We've been in a weird recording setup.
It's very weird lately, but we're still here. That's what matters.
Anyway, I don't know. I think it's funny to look at this as a concept. Either way, Homer is in fact setting up a company. He's got a table, and he's got butter as his. He's got his
typewriter, which you obviously need to start a company on the internet.
Of course, his
still
drinking
got that damn
bird. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's really worked well with him, you know, in the past in terms of taking care of business.
It's done good things in the past. Let's
try to melt the whole entire city down.
Marge, I love, she's like, she's concerned with what's going on, and Homer's like, there's no time to explain, Marge. But she just cares.
Is that my good butter?
Can't discuss it now. I have to write another delicious memo. Memo. Oh man, back at the school bus, we see Otto is being driven crazy by the song 99 Bottles of Beer on the Wall. It's only at 63 and he already can't take it. So he reaches down and turns it off because it's not the kids in the back of the bus. It's actually his tape player's Walkman that's sitting on his hip. And it shows the tape of like annoying or songs.
That was Enrage.
Enrage, the bus driver, yeah.
Why did I even buy this?
So he throws it out the window.
And the actual kids are all like completely silent up until that point.
100%, yeah. They're like sitting back motionless and silent, like perfectly at peace. But that actually breaks up here, and we get a very famous scene in The Simpsons. And this is another one of those instances where this scene right here, it's the famous race of the fruits. Go apple, go orange, etc. This has now become a meme. And Richie and I actually did an escape room yesterday with our friend and his daughter who was, 11? And we actually had an interesting discussion that, like, kids nowadays, like, know The Simpsons because of memes. Not really because of the show itself, but, like, this is one of the more prolific memes on the internet that you'll see various things racing, and something stupid is always the, go banana!
But I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword thought for me on that too. Is like I'm upset that like the kids don't necessarily know The Simpsons through and through, but at the same time, like at least The Simpsons are like living on and still making people laugh. So like I can see it from both sides. But yeah, it was very interesting to hear her talk about The Simpsons because she was like, I want to watch The Simpsons or I want to know The Simpsons, but like I just know the memes.
Y'all don't even know about aging out of conversations. It's like my go-to day-to-day life being a college professor, right? Like the other day, my students were talking about the first record they ever bought, right? Which of course, like for most of them was something they like paid to download. Let's not even discuss that particular strangeness, right?
Oh, see, when you said that, I was thinking like actual vinyl for a second, and I was like, oh, so like this is like the world coming full swing, and like now it's back to like that. But no, you mean like album, like you mean like a digital purchase.
Like the first time they paid to buy music, and one of them was a Beyonce record, and I'm like, okay, I can live with that. You know, Beyonce's been recording for whatever. I can imagine that, like, and then the other was like, yeah, it was a Justin Bieber record, and I'm like,
yikes,
wow. That's terrifying.
Fail.
On every level. Like, well, I mean, it's not even about fail. Like, because I mean, I don't know. What was the first record you bought?
No, I meant like you're gonna fail them.
Green Day, Dookie.
The one I actually paid for was a lot further along. It was the closing time? The song
Semisonic.
Semisonic.
Wow. Okay.
Very nice. Loving it.
I had that CD too.
But yeah, I mean, so those moments made me feel old. And then I was like, well, I think the first record I ever bought with my own money was Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill.
Great
and
album.
they all looked at me and said, who's that?
Oh, that hurts.
It did. It hurt a lot.
Yikes.
Anyways,
man.
So yeah, if you didn't know this, you're all going to die someday. And your impending doom is coming soon.
That's totally fair. But yeah, this is the scene where Nelson and Bart basically are racing an apple and an orange to the front of the bus. Ralph puts out a banana again. Go banana, which is absolutely spectacular. But Milhouse, who is arguably, really not even arguably, he is the villain of this episode.
Worst.
Yeah.
He's the fucking worst.
And he basically screws over the entire bus here by getting the grapefruit involved, which gets lodged under the brake pedal of the bus that causes Otto to be blinded by citrus juice and then to go barreling off of the side of the bus. I love, though, he's like, kids, you have to be my eyes. And as they're falling, he's like, which way should I turn?
When the grapefruit rolled by the other fruit that was racing, for a split second, I thought I saw something written on Ralph's banana. So I couldn't quite get it read because the service I use, I can't really like fast forward or rewind a lot, but it looked like it might have said Ralph.
Oh, interesting.
Like on the outside of the banana, which I just thought was funny.
That's your banana, Ralphie.
I hope Ralph wrote his name on that banana. That's so...
Like,
I mean, yeah.
Beautiful little detail.
What if another
the philosophy of Ralph.
What if another banana had crossed the finish line first? He wouldn't have got credit.
That's true.
But he would know which banana is his.
I'm just kidding, dude. The banana's not crossing the finish line, Richie. That's the point.
It does when the fruit goes backwards.
Ralph really kind of reminds me of Albert Camus here in that, like, in entering a banana into a race between an orange and an apple, he's really calling attention to the futility of struggle against gravity, right? Like, just calling us to pay attention to how much of our human efforts are an attempt to roll something up a hill, as it were.
Wow, I love it.
Maybe he's saying they're too worried about the race and not enjoying life where they're at that moment.
And kids, that's why you should get a PhD.
Indeed. You can be 9-time appearance, or this could be your 9th appearance on a podcast that didn't even make the top 20 Simpsons podcast. I'm still bitter.
If and only if you achieve several advanced... No. Okay.
Yeah.
So Otto doesn't crash the bus, is what you're saying.
Dude, and actually this crash is pretty dark, man. Like,
it does crash.
Yeah,
wow.
It goes flying into the water, which, did they ever, like, make it clear if it was a lake or an ocean or what it was?
It kind of has to be the ocean, as there are,
all
Chinese
the animals that are in,
vessels.
all the, like, you're absolutely, it's implied saltwater here for sure. So yeah, the bus sinks and then it actually pops up after several seconds of just looking at, like, the quiet water. But yeah, the kids, or Otto actually races out first, swimming for help, but he gets pulled out to sea. The kids...
Seven rules!
So the kids have to basically fend for themselves. I love Milhouse is, like, crying that he's going to get an ear infection, or swimmer's ear, excuse me. So Bart has to pull him to safety.
I like when he's like, when they're in the bus, though, right before that, that's when Bart goes, I guess this is the end, Wendell.
He's Wendell. I'm Lewis.
Well, whatever. Just tell Wendell I said bye. And Wendell's right next to him.
Right. Oh, man. So we see the kids have all washed up on a desert island. There's nothing around, and immediately Sherry tries to point blame. This is all Lisa's fault. She started the stupid UN club.
Hey, Martin seconded the notice. It's entirely his fault.
People, let's not blame each other. We all know this is Milhouse's fault.
You're damn right.
It really is, yeah, actually.
This is entirely accurate. I mean, I kind of want to blame Grapefruit, if you want to be honest. Like, what parent put a fucking grapefruit in there? Which asshole did that?
That's a really good point.
That's actually a good point.
I feel like it's Martin's parents, for the record, who sent the grapefruit.
I mean, just think about how, like that's not even, like, your own fair share of space in the cooler. Like, you're taking up a much larger percentage of space than, like, would be delegated to each person.
Have you ever seen anyone under the age of 30 eat a fucking grapefruit?
Never.
Like, I mean, like...
They won't even sell you the spoons. You have to have your ID. Like,
without, like, a spoon and some sugar. You know where I'm coming from? Like,
100%.
You don't eat that shit. Anyways. I just want to one time see someone, like, peel a grapefruit and have a delicious slice of it.
Just bite into it like an orange?
Yeah, that seems fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not down. But no. Bart is taking advantage of this opportunity. He finds a large conch shell and he blows into it, getting everybody's attention. And he basically paints this picture of a utopian society, kind of like the Swiss Family Robinson, only with more cursing. And they'll all live like kings with monkey butlers.
Hell damn ass kings.
How many monkey butlers?
One to start, but he'll train others. So,
and even Lisa at that point's like, oh, yeah. Which, in Lord of the Flies, wasn't the shell the thing that gave everybody power at first?
Yeah.
It's been like over 20 years since I read it.
This is for sure when the Lord of the Flies spoof comes into full play, right? So in Lord of the Flies, the plot is that a bunch of British kids were being evacuated from one place to another. There was a shipwreck. They all got stranded on the island. Only the kids are alive, right? And at first, the kids are kind of like, what are we supposed to do? One of the kids, his name is Piggy, because, you know, it's a fucked up book. Anyways, and Piggy finds a big conch shell and blows in it and is like, hey, maybe we should, like, try and have a society. And they try that for a while. And, well, shit goes bad. if you want to be honest. At some point, they decide, and I'm skipping a bunch of parts, but they decide that they're going to start hunting each other, and they start dressing each up in war paint and trying to hunt the beast, who becomes like this mythical figure of monstrousness, but really the beast is all of us, and it gets strange. But long story short, it's a story about how man at his base level is kind of messed up, and that society like really takes a lot of effort to keep going, and that like in a lot of ways we have these baser instincts that we sort of ignore, and that they may be our undoing if we're not careful.
Interesting. So
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's
fess
real
up real
uplifting.
quick and say that I have never read the book Lord of the Flies, but I am very familiar with all of its pop culture references, and I obviously did some research about it for this podcast. But yeah, it actually sounds like a book, ironically, a book that I would have enjoyed reading, but I remember like not reading it intentionally, even though it was assigned back in like middle school or something like that. I just like faked the report.
Take that, education.
Yeah, so I that, you know what, I'll take that one. Like, I regret, but most of them I feel pretty good about the decision. Either
You could
way,
probably watch
I
the
just
movie.
remember. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh, I said you probably could have just watched the movie. But
there's a movie.
yeah,
I didn't even know that. Definitely gonna check that out. There are a
Yeah, for
lot of
sure.
similarities, one of which I'll save for the end, and most of which you've already pointed out, but like specifically some of the points of reference they have listed are when they use the glasses to create fire,
Yes.
the use of the conch for the monster, I'm sorry, the horn, and then the monster itself, and then finally at the end when we get the kill the dorks, bash their butts, kick their shins. That's reminiscent of the chant from the book, which was kill the beast, spill its blood, cut its throat.
yes.
But there's one more I'll save, and we'll talk about it later. But Richie, did you have more to talk about on the book?
Well, it might be related to something saving for the end, so I won't spoil that. But the ending that I always remember stuck with me from the book was, I think it's like, and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're obviously way more up to date on literary things for some reason. I don't know, it's just random maybe, but
Prove it.
but I thought it was like the second an adult showed up at the end of the book is when all the kids just stopped like trying to kill each other, which that part always stuck with me, because I guess if I remember correctly, the adults are supposed to be like order and everything like that, which makes total sense. But like for some reason, that's the part that always stuck with me, is that as soon as order showed up, it was like a switch that flipped and they stopped killing each other.
Well, I mean, not only do they stop killing each other, but they revert to their true ages and sort of realize what they've been doing and like become blubbering, messed up messes, which, you know, is kind of like, yeah, like they sort of realize the traumas they were inflicting on each other, and it's real messed up. But the thing I love about the ending of that book is that it actually closes with the British officer being like, come on now, British boys don't cry.
Ugh.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, fuck. Yeah, that's what would happen. Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. Well, but I think that's also a good point for, like Miles brought up earlier. There's no adults with them on the bus, and to make it like parallel Lord of the Flies, you had to have it be that way.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, Bart's natural like charisma in this moment has helped him out. He's kind of take a leadership role back on the island, and he's got everybody bought in to this like utopian idea. And I mean, it had like a water slide and like a bathtub, and Sherry and Terry were driving a car of some sort. There was a lot. It was very Gilligan's Island, but like way like nicer and more fun.
Very dope.
I do like Bart actually says that him and Nelson will get to start on the construction of that. Everybody else can go and gather food. And they're going to have a big feast tonight. And maybe
Martin,
have
draw
wine.
a plan for a coconut radio.
Yeah, that's right.
Possibly a coconut Nintendo system.
Yeah. Make sure to pick up a little wine for the older kids.
Delicious wine?
Exactly.
I don't even get that joke, but I love it.
I think it's just the idea that they're 10, so they don't really understand wine. They're just trying to sound. It's kind of like us when we do our wine blinding parties and we try to like describe what we're tasting.
It did taste like wet rocks, man. I'm serious.
No, you were actually really good at that. It was impressive. I was just bullshit and riff. See what happened. You also cheated, though, because you knew that different wines came in different bottles. Totally cheating. Next time we're putting them all in
sounds like
solo
something
cups.
I do.
Next time we're putting them all in solo cups in advance. Because we classy. Back at home, Homer is still trying to get his internet company off the ground. He actually is trying to come up with a name, and he's mad because all of the good names are taken. Ooh, wait, I've got it. Flancrest Enterprises. And then he checks, and it's like, "Doh!"
He checked in Wired.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's doing pretty well then, I'm assuming.
Marge
Was
is
there a
even
time
questioning,
when
though,
Wired had all of the internet in the back of its book?
I doubt that.
Yeah, but that's when it could all fit back in 1998. It's kind of like when you see on the internet when people make like a physical Facebook where it's just like a poster board with sticky notes.
Or a yearbook.
Same.
Dude, when I started college, they handed me a motherfucking Facebook. I'm not kidding. Like, it said that on the front.
Nice. Nice. That's hilarious. Marge even questions, though, like, what does your company do again?
This industry moves so fast, it's really hard to tell.
But that's why the name's so important. That's why he's got to have a name with cutting edge, like Cutco, or Edgecom, or Interslice. Come on, Marge. You're good at these. Help me out.
How about Compu Global Hyper Meganet?
Fine, it's not important. Homer's trying to decide instead what he'll give himself as a title, and he's like, I know, Vice President. Wait, no, Junior Vice President. Compu Global Hyper Magnet Junior Vice President Homer Simpson speaking. How may I direct your call? It's Patty.
It's Patty.
We cut back to see the kids back at the island, but Food Patrol is not going so well. In fact, they only found a few berries, which Ralph already helped himself to.
Thanks, Ralph.
I aided the purple berries. Oh.
How are they, Ralph? Good?
They taste like burning.
Okay, Food Patrol blew it.
Yeah, well, your treehouse looks kind of crummy, too. Kind of really crummy.
Well, when monsoon season shows up, you'll be glad it's there.
But just then, like, a mild breeze causes the few sticks they have leaned up in a tree to fall over. So pretty quickly, Bart's like, well, this is a bad idea. Maybe we should have swam for it like Otto did. And that makes him do a cutaway to wondering where Otto was right now. Where we see that he's basically coming to terms with his demise. He says he's done for, and that he's at least happy to be leaving behind a beautiful corpse. But as he falls underwater, lets out one final bubble, he's picked up in a fishing net from and tossed on a boat, where people, I think, speaking Chinese or Mongolian? I don't know. I'm not an expert in language.
The subtitles said it was Chinese.
Perfect. I was trying to use as many context clues as I could, so there you go, and I didn't have subtitles.
But what kind of Chinese?
Richie.
Mandarin, most likely, at that
statistically speaking.
latitude.
Statistically speaking, yes.
At that latitude, most likely.
So either way, Otto's excited, but it might not be going so well, because in the subtitle, whatever, in Chinese, we don't know exactly which area, but probably Mandarin, we've determined. They say that basically you can't have too many slaves in the boat deck, or they basically are going to keep him as unpaid help, we'll call it.
Yay!
Yeah, Otto's like, I think I'm gonna like it here. When we get back, we actually see Milhouse is now running in fear on the island, running back towards camp, screaming, "Monster! Monster!" Where everybody actually hides, except for Ralph, who just covers his eyes.
Because he knows it's not real, except that it totally is.
Oh, no, maybe Ralph's just the smartest guy in the room, and he's just doing that to, like, kind of, play along with the rest of the group.
Or, like, if there's a monster, it's probably going to eat Ralph first. And Ralph knows this.
And he knows he
and
can't
thus,
have a monster.
Ralph is just kind of like, if I hide, it's not going to matter. All I can really do is not see it coming.
And just be at peace.
Or he's being the banana in this scene while everyone else is being the apple and orange rolling back and forth on the bus.
Exactly.
Perfect metaphor. That's the subtext we were all missing before this podcast. You're welcome, Simpsons fans.
Yep. That's why you're here. That's why you keep tuning back. Maybe they'll make a banana joke.
But not the one you were expecting.
Zinger. So they wait a little while and determine, you know what, I don't think there's a monster coming. Why would you even make that up, basically? But they decide that they're going to need a fire to try to keep themselves safe. And this might be my favorite gag, even with my favorite fictional character joke so early on that I love. But they basically say, like, they can make or it's actually Nelson knows that they could make a fire using Milhouse's glasses. And you kind of have it set up perfectly where, like, the sun's in the background and you just know they're going to use the magnification from the glasses to light the twigs on fire. But no,
it's a big part of Lord of the Flies, but no.
But Nelson instead grabs a rock and starts grinding it on the glass, causing it to spark.
Wouldn't even work. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous, but it's really funny. And it, of course, just mangles Milhouse's glasses.
Which, that was a big thing in the book, too.
The glasses get mangled?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I thought that's what you were referencing towards the end.
No, that's not what I'm referencing towards the end.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
okay.
More to come.
No. We see the kids are huddled around the campfire getting ready for their first night, and there's a real weird dig at Arby's when Terry's like, I'm so hungry I could eat at Arby's.
Oh my gosh.
I feel that.
That is hungry.
Really?
I think she's specifically referring to the Arby's in Shreveport, Louisiana that gave me terrifying stomach issues that are even too gross to discuss on this podcast.
Oh, really?
And
that is disgusting.
Yeah, so I'm here for it. Fuck Arby's.
See, I'm actually an Arby's fan, believe it or not. Which I know you would.
I would believe it. I do believe it. Most definitely. Do you follow Nihilist Arby's on Twitter? Because you should.
No, I'll have to look into that.
Nihilist Arby's. It's Arby's commercials, but, centered around the absence of meaning in your and everyone's life.
Interesting. All right, I'll check that out.
You'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Man, we're just giving all the recommendations to other artists on this week's episode.
That and banana jokes.
But we're very, very divided on Arby's. You're not going to get...
Richie, we need a settling vote here. Tell him the truth. Tell him Arby's is fucking gross.
I can't tell you the last time I ate at Arby's, and it was probably for their 5 for $5 meal, which I think switched to 4 for $5. So, yeah, it depends
on what you get. You can still get 5 for $5 depending on the items, but then there's premium items that you can either get 3 of or 4 of 5 of. So, Yeah, I go occasionally.
Meh.
Oh, man. So they hear some grumbling noises, and Milhouse is once again like, oh, my God, it's the monster. And he actually takes a few hits off of his inhaler.
No, it's not. It's my tummy.
And then Nelson gives him like... Nelson's giving him like a disapproving look, and he keeps like changing it till he finally lands on Crap Factory. It gets Nelson's nod of approval.
Toxic masculinity.
That's when Lisa though remembers like, wait, we had a cooler full of food on the bus, and then realizes, oh, but we can't get there.
Miles, I need you to explain this next scene to us because this is your field, this is your career. So tell us exactly how to do this.
How do you scuba dive with an inhaler? What kind of inhaler should I use?
Yeah, it's I'm glad that you asked what type of inhaler, because that is far more important than the whatever you put into an inhaler is. That really doesn't matter as long as you don't exceed certain depths. No, but what I like is Bart's in this inhaler hard enough that he has time to like encounter all these sea creatures and get into it with a blowfish, where he actually like has time to like at it and go ow as it bites it in the ass, or bites him in the ass.
Bites him in the ass.
Yeah, that's a much different situation if he bites it in the ass. Yeah,
unless you go back to season 1 or 2, whatever episode that was.
Yeah. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. I want to say that's season 2.
I think so.
Yeah. But Bart actually does make it one way or the other. He uses this inhaler to breathe down and get the supplies off the bus, which is really interesting. Everybody starts just digging into all of like the candy and chips and cookies and eventually the fruit too. But Lisa's like, stop! We have to save some of this for tomorrow. We could be out here for a long time.
But I'm hungry now.
Yeah, who put you, the Duchess of Dork, in charge? But they all come to terms with the idea that they should save some. Well, really, Lisa just kind of takes control of the situation. But she's right. I mean, you gotta ration a little bit, right?
Yep.
There's gotta be some.
You know, I might be wrong, but I actually think that if you're in an emergency situation, rationing your food actually doesn't help you as much as you'd think. That the big move is to eat healthy as long as you can and to like use that energy to search for more food. I think I heard Bear Grylls say that once.
That's interesting. I know that's the case with water. Like there's like basically like if you're in a situation where you're like survival mode, don't ration your water because your body will ration it automatically as it starts to deplete from your system. So like just keep drinking the water when you come across it as you need it.
And didn't Bear drink water from poop?
Yeah, I saw that.
That did also. They recap
Don't
that
do
on
what Bear
Oliver.
Grylls did,
Yeah.
but do what Bear Grylls says to do.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you have to. That's the real situation here. But that night, the kids go to sleep and wake up to find that all of their yummy breakfast that they had saved and decided to ration is gone. And Milhouse, that asshole, once again, is lying passed out next to the cooler. So it looks very bad in terms of him being the guilty party.
And he burps, which is not a good way to start off your defense.
And Nelson's like, he smells like nacho cheese. Get him.
That's a real thing. I feel like that should have come up in the trial as reasonable evidence.
I don't know, man, because they just ate the night before and they didn't have a way to brush their teeth. So, like, it could have easily been, like, left residual gas from, like, junk food the night before.
That's an interesting point.
It just depends how long they were asleep for.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't dare hurt Milhouse. You forget that he has the glasses.
Yoink.
Yoink!
Now that you got everything you need, I'll just get out of here.
But Nelson is, like, able, because Milhouse can't see it all, Nelson's able to slip right behind him and stop him. Not so fast, Two Eyes.
So good.
Burn.
But once
Come on,
again,
let's slice them open and get our food back.
But once again, Lisa is the voice of reason here, and she's like, no, we have to live in a society and, like, have rules and shit. To which Nelson is like, society blows.
Yeah, and in this moment, we've encompassed the entire plot of Lord of the Flies in 3 words, and it's beautiful.
We cut back to our B plot once again, where we see Comic Book Guy is trying to download a scandalous image of Captain Janeway from one of the various Star Trek series.
Voyager?
Yeah, the final brassiere, am I right?
Lace, the final brassiere.
And kids today won't understand this scene at all.
I was about to say, this was my discussion of the internet.
Yeah, man. This was for an image too. Like you kids these days with your like high definition, like anything you want at a search engines, whatever, man. Like, no, this was what it was like. You had your whatever character you were into, and it took you 45 minutes to find out that like somebody had photoshopped a dick on her.
And you were done before it even got to that point anyways.
Done with what, Richie?
Exactly.
Yeah. Done with your studying.
Sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Daily routine.
You had to prep those three points.
The line by line loading of images from the top to the bottom was like, I mean, yeah. Who invented that and why?
This high-speed modem is intolerably slow.
Internet king. Beep, 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 beep.
Ooh, I wonder if he can provide faster nudity.
It almost sounded like comic book guy and Snake put together.
Yeah, I got a little weird with it. I didn't have time to really find the character. I'm sorry.
Search inside.
It was loading line by line. That's why you didn't have it.
Yeah. And Internet King like pops in right at the like what you would say would be like the part he was waiting for. Yeah, but I do like there's a reference. I don't remember exactly. I think he said he has the high speed modem and it's like 128 kilobytes per second. Which
he says 28.8
kilobytes per second, which is just insane. Like, I mean, how do you even put that? I'm not like smart enough at computers to know how ridiculously or slow that is by like today's.
Okay, I have an answer to that.
Boom.
If you have ever seen your phone where it has like 1x internet, that is twice as fast as 28.8.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Man, now I'm going to have flashbacks every time I have that experience.
Good.
Because I know that.
I'm glad to add trauma to your life anytime that I can.
You are, yeah.
At least he went to the right guy.
That's true. He actually goes to Homer's office. I'm interested in upgrading my 28.8 kilowatt internet connection to a 1.5 megabit fiber optic T1 line. Will you be able to provide an IP router that's compatible with my token ring Ethernet LAN configuration?
Can I have money now?
It's just completely like he doesn't even pretend to like understand. He just sits there completely blank. It's great.
That's a new Patreon spot right there.
We'll make that happen. Can I have some money now? What reward tier should that be? I'll look and see where we have holes in our Patreon, which you can support at bestdarndiddly.com or patreon.com/bestdarndiddly. Either way, it'll probably find it somewhere. There's a link. But yeah, we'll have a new tier. Can we just have some money now? Thank you. And shout out to all of our wonderful current subscribers, including Timothy Burleson, who we know and are not too drunk to forget your name, sorry. And also Bob, man. Bob's been a long time, bro.
Bob? Thanks,
Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah, Bob's the shit, dude.
Way
he
go,
sent
Bob.
Miles a letter in blood, so
Appreciate
it's
you,
probably
man.
Sideshow Bob.
That letter written in blood still to this day sits right here in front of me as I record. It's one of my favorite things I've ever been sent. That's the end of the sentimental part of this podcast.
And scene.
All right. Back on the island, we see that the court session for Milhouse has now begun. Milhouse is actually in a cage made out of sticks. And Lisa has come to his defense.
Pick up and move.
Yeah, he can just walk around with it. Bart walks in and is like, all rise. Ha ha, made you rise.
Your Honor, the defense calls its first and only witness, Milhouse Van Houten. Milhouse, did you steal the food?
Nuh-uh, no way.
Could anybody else have taken it?
Well, I guess you could have.
Milhouse, I'm defending you.
Oh, sorry, I was just saying it was either you or the monster.
Monster. Pff. Oh, please.
I will remind you that we are not here to debate the existence of monsters. And that actually upsets everybody. Everyone groans, man. Yeah.
What the hell do you mean we're not here? Like, I mean, in essence, are we really here to do anything other than debate the existence of monsters?
This was also pre-Lost, wasn't it?
Oh, big time.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like almost a
years.
decade before, if not an entire decade. Well, maybe not a whole decade before. When did Lost start? Now I need to know. 2005?
Oh, look at us. We'll just go with that. Don't look
Yeah,
at us.
so it's like 7 years ahead. It's not crazy. It's somewhere in that ballpark. Maybe
Not
this is where the
crazy.
idea for Lost came from.
Ooh.
Simpsons did it.
Simpsons did it.
Yeah, but Lisa tries her heart out, man. She does her best to defend Milhouse, and she brings up the fact that nobody actually saw Milhouse do it.
Closing argument, I believe.
Yeah, and Bart actually has no choice, it seems, but to
Whoa. We got to get the prosecutor
Yeah,
a chance.
you cannot skip
I'm
this
so
prosecution.
sorry. That's
'cause it's
definitely,
important.
he's entitled to a fair trial.
Cross-examination.
Please, excuse me. Nelson takes the cross-examination, but he doesn't have any questions for Milhouse.
You think he's going to, though. He paces back and forth.
Dude, he has this beautiful Perry Mason setup where he's just walking back and forth, and you're like, oh, he's about to drop some serious knowledge on this motherfucker. And then it was not knowledge that he dropped.
He starts dropping fist on his stomach, and then there's an objection from Lisa, but Bart's like, I'll allow it.
But you got to give Milhouse credit here, because Milhouse keeps his hands on the bars of the cage sticks, and he doesn't move. He just keeps getting hit. He could have fallen back.
Milhouse for that, or make you wonder if Milhouse isn't an idiot for that.
I mean,
and literally just stand on the other side of the cage.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the cage does move.
That's
you could
true.
use the cage to defend yourself.
Yeah.
What would Jackie Chan do? Is
Right?
something you should only think once in your life, but this is the time.
That seems fair. I mean, if you were going to play that card, it's now.
Yeah, it seems the time.
But Bart's decision is actually wildly unpopular, including with Bart himself, who at one point when Lisa's trying to get him to defend her, is like, come on. Bart's like, I'm a little upset after that verdict.
But that means he is being impartial, so good job, Judge Bart.
Yeah, you got to give him credit there. And also got to give Bart credit when Milhouse gets a little bit aggressive with Lisa, Bart steps in to defend her. I'm sorry, when Nelson gets a little bit aggressive with Lisa, Bart steps in to defend her.
Hey, man, that's my sister. Back off.
And then, of course, we get to start chanting, right?
Yeah, this is where we get to those chants like I talked about earlier that were referenced to the book itself. But in the book, it was kill the beast, spill its blood, cut its throat. And here we had...
kill the dorks.
Bash their butts.
Kick their shins.
So go in the complete opposite direction, so that's good.
Yeah, interesting.
But shin kicking is almost like having your throat slit, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's rough. That one hurts, man.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
We cut back to Homer's storyline over here. Or actually, first the kids actually are full on hunting Milhouse at this point, and Bart and Lisa are running with him because they had taken his side. This is, I think, again, a reference to the book because they actually start war painting up, which is really funny. Ralph, I don't know if it's revealed right here when we cut back to him, but Ralph actually has his face painted like Peter Criss from Kiss. Just
it's so good.
Fun.
And then, which is, I don't know, to me, just like a meta commentary on how crazy it is that Peter Criss wears cat makeup, next to Gene Simmons and his terrifying bat
Demon,
thing.
Yeah, totally.
I kind of want to pet Peter Criss. I do.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think that sentence. Oh no, it definitely has. Just kidding.
Yeah.
We cut back to Homer's storyline for a little bit here, and we actually see that he's now reading Internet for Dummies, and this is where we get the great line, "Ooh, they have the internet on computers now." Which I haven't talked about it at all yet, but this was actually a new disc, Richie, from my DVD collection, and as of so far, it wasn't scratched because I was able to get commentary, and this one
I'm knocking on wood for you.
Commentary by David Cohen, Matt Groening, George Meyer, Mike Scully, and Pete Michaels. David Cohen was the writer of this episode, or at least he penned this episode, came up with the concepts, and he actually said that he had a really weird moment years after this episode aired because he was actually checking his mail, and he had gotten a ad calendar in the mail, and on one of the months they had various quotes. It was for some maybe American Online or something like that. He didn't remember in the commentary, just knew it was an internet company. But sure enough, on one of the months it actually had, "Ooh, they have the internet on computers now," quoted Homer Simpson. And he was just kind of mind blown that a line that he wrote had been used on him as advertising.
Yeah,
and
I feel like we need to explain, just in case you have a younger part of your audience, that this was a joke because back then the internet was only on computers.
Right. Oh yeah.
As
that's
opposed
a really
to now
point.
when
Honestly, I didn't think about
refrigerators
that.
on the internet and shit. Yeah.
Good
call,
explanation.
Yeah.
This was even before they had internet on your phone, and when internet on your phone started, it was shitty.
No Wi-Fi.
Well, I mean, not even that. It was a text display. It had no images or anything like that. It was you could basically get a real simple text answer of a simple Google question, Or
Yeah,
you could get
you
like
had,
sports
Ask
scores.
Jeeves.
Yeah.
Dude, the first time I used my phone to look something up on the internet, like, it literally seemed to some people that it was like a superpower.
Well, it kind of is if you think about it. I mean, like in the comic books, you're essentially just getting your Android upgrade. I don't mean that as a brand. I mean that as like the like humanoid robot like hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
the world's crazy, man. We live in a crazy world. We live in a crazy world where billionaires can just walk into your house and offer to buy you out right there on the spot, man.
Really?
We get Bill Gates walks in and he says that he doesn't really understand what he does, but since he doesn't want to risk getting into competition, he's just going to buy you out. And Homer is like, gets super excited and then is finally like, I have to be calm. I reluctantly accept your proposal.
All right, boys, buy him out.
And unfortunately, that means destroy the place, to which Homer's very sad that he's not getting any money. I love, though, Bill Gates' line here. He's like, I didn't get rich by writing a lot of checks.
I love the nerd toughs who rough his house up. Like, it's just like this perfect blend of, like, standard henchman and, like, standard pocket protector wearing nerd. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, man, yeah, it's really funny. They said they actually had considered the idea of asking Bill Gates to do this, and then completely were like, nah, they're never going to get him to do this. But Matt Groening actually on the commentary said that he actually had a meeting with some people at Microsoft. I'm guessing probably some sort of game or something, but regardless, he had a meeting over there and he asked, and they're like, yeah, we love the show. We're not, it wasn't really the most popular scene whenever that came out, though they were quite upset by it. He did not like the way it made him look.
Uh-oh.
But really?
To be fair, at that time, he was kind of known for being a little bit reclusive, and now he's known as one of the most charitable, billionaires on the planet, which I guess that he's one of the most charitable, wealthy people on the planet, we'll say, because putting him as a billionaire does put him in a fairly small club. But yeah, it wasn't his image back then like it is now.
Should have leaned into the skid.
I guess maybe, just gone that way and just started beating up people at Google.
Yeah, and also that really was his haircut. I want to emphasize that as well.
Yep.
He's hired a barber since then as well.
Don't let the haircut fool you. I really am rich.
Get a load of the bowl job, Marge.
I feel like that's what pissed Bill Gates off, that he was completely fine with the image of him as going around and physically destroying mom and pop companies for no fucking reason.
But he was just so
but
tired
he was
of
pissed
hair
about
jokes.
the hair joke.
We leave Bill Gates, or really we leave Homer destroyed and is now wrecked by Bill Gates' office, and we cut back to the island where once again we see the kids are in pursuit of Milhouse, Bart, and Lisa. They find their way to a pass where they can swing across on a rope, and after helping Milhouse this whole way, they tell him to go first, but they're like, swing the rope back.
There's
Sorry, no time.
But is this after they've chucked a rock at Milhouse and broken his other lens?
Yes.
Oh, that's fair. He is running very blindly.
That's all the more reason to make sure to try and bring people with you.
Yep.
As is evidenced by where they find my Milhouse in 3 minutes.
They do manage to get across by pushing a tree down and running over, and then they find a cave that they think is going to be safe to hide in, but almost immediately Nelson and the rest of the kids are like, we've got them trapped in this cave. There's nowhere they can go.
Oh,
Milhouse is stretched out over a rock that he clearly tripped over on the outside of the
laying
cave.
there, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
As Nelson and the other kids approach with torches, though, they get scared suddenly, and it's because the monster Milhouse spoke of is actually right behind Bart, Milhouse, and Lisa.
Wait, it's not because of the UN charter that Lisa yells at them that they're breaching the ideals of?
Everybody was very committed to the charter of the UN.
Oh,
Strong point.
Yeah.
But they actually realize that the monster is not really a monster as much as it is a run-of-the-mill wild boar, and it actually has a bag of potato chips that are stuck through its tusk, proving that at least part of the food was not eaten by Milhouse.
Well, momentarily proving that all of the food wasn't eaten by Milhouse until they apologized to him.
Yeah. But Lisa actually realizes, hey, if a boar can survive out here, that means there's got to be a source of food. And she realizes that he's licking slime, or the boar is licking slime off the rock. And that makes Lisa realize they can survive on slime.
Yeah, Milhouse only ate 2 sandwiches and a bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
Fucking nacho cheese breath having motherfucker.
But so the other kids, though, are not really into the slime idea as much as Lisa is. In the next scene, we cut to...
It's a beautiful cut.
It's a wonderful cut. We immediately cut to the boar being roasted on the open fire, and everybody is enjoying eating cooked meat. They're being very friendly and civilized with one another, sharing, hey, anybody want some more snout, that type of thing. And then we pan out.
All the slime made the boar extra tender.
Yeah. And we cut out to see Lisa is actually off to the side licking the rock, and Bart's like, how's that slime, Lise?
Ah, shut up, savages.
And we just pan out here to see a wide shot of the island, and suddenly there's a voiceover by James Earl Jones that just simply says, so the children learned how to function as a society, and eventually they were rescued by, oh, let's say Mo.
And that's fucking it. It's the best ending that I recall having seen on a Simpsons episode. Definitely the best of any episode I have been on for this podcast. It's brilliant television that they
What a button.
That they settled the there's that old adage in television that you have to return everything back to where you started, right? You can't just leave the kids lost on an island.
Reset.
But also, who fucking cares? That part is really not interesting, and it's totally not relevant. And so, yeah, fuck it. Let's just have it in a dumb voiceover. But just so you can't say it's a dumb voiceover, we're going to get James fucking Earl fucking Jones to do it. The goddamn voice of CNN is going to come on and tell you, fucking Mo did it. Who cares? It's perfect.
So this is actually the other thing I wanted to talk about that I referenced earlier. That's actually a direct reference to the book, Lord of the Flies itself. And while, Andy, I agree with you, and I love this ending and always have, even not knowing this reference that I'm about to mention, this is actually a wildly unpopular ending in Simpsons fandom. There is a lot of people who absolutely hate this ending because they think it's a total cop-out, it comes out of nowhere, and they don't actually do anything to wrap it up. But that is because, apparently, again, I have not read it, the book Lord of the Flies is famously known for having what is considered to be a cop-out ending, and by having an even more cop-out ending, that is, in fact, the best way to parody that book.
I'm buying it. Like I said, the ending of Lord of the Flies is kind of like more of a symbol than an actual ending.
Yeah.
It's frustratingly stupid. In the fact that, after all that, one guy shows up, everyone starts bawling, and he's like, kids, don't cry, what the fuck? And it closes. But, yeah. I'm digging it.
Yeah, I think it's...
Also, Simpsons fans in general are just wrong. So,
we had
Fight
plenty
me.
of that on the all singing, all dancing. Richie tried to fight every one of our listeners one-on-one, one at a time. So
I don't remember that.
They need a break. But
as I was pointed out, though, I blame us. I think that's the follow through.
It always comes back that way. But
seems
that
fine.
actually brings us to the end of the episode. DOS Bus. Andy, is there anything else that you would like to talk about this episode?
I would like to talk about how did that boar get murdered?
Yes!
I want to know
I have that
what
written
happened
down.
and how. I mean,
Yes.
I know they all had their murdering sticks, but anyways, there's this whole process, and everyone's like, "Oh, hunky dory, we just get to eat," and it's like, I don't know, you missed out on some really important parts of the episode here.
Andy, I gotcha. We'll just say Mo caught it.
Perfect.
Thank you. Seems fine. Yeah, a rock fell and landed on him, and also butchered him into nice steaks. It was great.
And his hair fell out because he got scared before he died.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like, it's totally, like...
Richie, what about you? Is there anything that you or that book of yours wanted to talk about before we get out of here?
Well, Andy cleared up that thought that I had. We got there eventually. The other thing is, I'm going to need our guests' help on this, but I thought in the book, spoiler alert to a book that you've all probably read anyways, I thought in the book that it was once Piggy's glasses got broken that he met his untimely end. So I thought it was cool that they took effort in the episode to halfway break Milhouse's glasses around the halfway point in the story and then fully break his glasses like right at the end, kind of. So I don't know. I kind of like that. And I didn't know if there was a reference they did or what, but I might be making up that metaphor in my head because again, it's been like 25 years.
No, absolutely. You're completely right about that. And particularly, like, there's the scene where Piggy is like, you can't do that to me. I'm the one with the glasses. And they're like, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to steal those fucking glasses. And yeah, it's not quite as simple as yoink, but it's definitely like, maybe you shouldn't brag about how the reason they can't kill you is because of one thing you own. Just throwing it out there as a life strategy.
Yeah.
But yeah, poor Piggy, he got smashed by a rock. It was sad.
Screwed up.
Right on. Well, that's all I've got. We covered everything that I wanted to get across. I was excited to have commentary once again for this episode to get some of the insight that only the creators of the show can provide. Once again, Andy, we're so happy to have you join us on the show. Everybody go and buy Down and Out. Where can they get that again? Where's the best place they should buy it?
Goldwake.com is the best place to get it, but anywhere you might buy a book on the internet is probably selling it.
And totally.
Or Venmo the author.
Or you can just Venmo me money. Yeah, absolutely. Find me on Twitter, and we'll go from there.
Give him money now.
I would be happy to do that, and if you do that, you can have a personal autograph, and I will draw a portrait of either Richie or Miles at your leisure.
Perfect. Yeah, he knows us both. I'm sure it'll be photo.
Yeah,
realism.
I'm also a really great drawer.
I'm so terrified.
Which
the
you
best
know
drawers
because I
call
called
themselves
it a
drawer.
Yeah, and not an artist or like anything other than that. No,
well, you're not pretentious, dude.
But I'm great at it.
That's amazing, guys.
Oh, my gosh.
And Andy, you're also on Twitter.
Yeah, at J. Andrew Briseño. That's Briseno.
That's
Find
awesome.
me.
You can also follow our show at Best Darn Diddly. That's DIDDLY. You can follow Richie the Whiz Kid at TheWhiz_Kid23. And I am at Mr. Most Days Off, guys. We are now officially past the halfway point of Season 9. And we've got a bunch of great episodes still to come, including one that I'm very excited about for next week. I'm going to have probably some stand-up comedians that I know that want to jump on that podcast, join us. But we are going to be reviewing The Last Temptation of Crust.
Oh, fuck yeah.
We're actually going to be having a particular guest on that episode. I don't know. Mo?
And until next time, be cromulent to each other.